All right, guys, what's up? It's Justin Kahn, and you're listening to the first episode of Fractal Radio, or watching it, where I'm diving deep on blockchain gaming companies. I've been super interested and obsessed with blockchain games and the possibilities of kind of incorporating NFTs into games. And if you haven't heard, I'm launching my own marketplace to enable the trading, discovery, buying, and selling of NFTs for games called Fractal. And so we're diving deep in with gaming companies about what they're building. And our very first episode is going to be with the founders of Genopets. Albert, Ben, and Jay here. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, Justin.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for
inaugural episode. This is
exactly
dope. What an honor.
Episode number 1, for better or for worse. You know, you never know how it's gonna go. But amazing. So, we started talking a couple weeks ago. I kind of got a preview of your experience during the mint. You sent me an egg to hatch, and it was a pretty cool experience. I was impressed. It was really fun to do. I shared it on Twitter, and maybe really intrigued, and I want to know more. So maybe you can just tell me what's the high level. What is Genopets?
Jay, you want to take this one?
Sure. Genopets is the world's first move to earn NFT game that incentivizes active lifestyles. What that means is making an NFT game where, as you take care of yourself, you'll be taking care of your Genopet. We incorporate your real world data, things like your steps, things like your personality into the Genopet that best matches you. That's a bit of that experience you had during the genesis hatching of your Genopet, which took you on a bit of a game experience where you exposed a bit of your personality, making conscious decisions that we use as part of the algorithm to create the Genopet that best matches you. So as you take action in the real world, it will be reflected in your digital spirit animal in the form of your Genopet.
So it's kind of like a Pokemon or Tamagotchi, but I feed it, I power it up by, connecting my fitness tracker, my Apple Health or something like that, and then I'm going and doing, real world activities, and that's what helps my pet.
Yeah. So we combine your... Exactly.
Sorry.
Ben.
It's a Tamagotchi you take care of by taking care of yourself.
I love that. How did you come together to build around that idea or that mission?
Yeah, so so we started on this track. So Ben and I got into crypto together in 2016, 2017, and we built a few projects. But very early on, when we got into Web3, the goal was we were enticed by this idea of banking the unbanked and allowing people to earn passive income. So in 2018, that's when we met Jay. He was working at Block One at the time for the blockchain, for the EOS blockchain, and they were hosting the world's biggest hackathon of its kind. And he invited Ben and I to participate, and we did. And in South Africa, in December 2018, we won the global hackathon with an idea called GenoOS. And what that was a decentralized health data marketplace that allowed you to monetize your data through monetize your health data through decentralized zero knowledge learning. So that was our original idea, to allow people to earn passive income, universal earned income, if you will. Fast forward a year and a half later, EOS as a blockchain wasn't doing very well. And also the idea, while good, is too early. Honestly, it's still too early today. The infrastructure for decentralized zero knowledge learning isn't really there yet, but we stuck to our vision. So we closed down that project in 2020, but in 2021, when we started looking at different NFT projects, something clicked. As early as 2019, we said your health data access rights should be controlled by an NFT. And Ben, being his creative self, said, well, if it's an NFT, can it be something more fun than just, an access pass? and he had the idea of making a pet that you can evolve and like be the representation of your health data. So like as you gather more health data and become healthier, your Genopet levels up, right? And as early as 2019, he called it a Genopet. But you know, being a less creative person at the time, I was like, well, you're crazy. Nobody's gonna play a game like that. But earlier this year, I think as early as January, I saw what Zed Run was doing with the horse breeding, and I immediately called Ben and I said, "Hey, are you seeing what they're doing? I think we can really do what you were planning on doing." And I'll let him talk a little bit about his vision there.
Well, it's my turn to say that I'm only allowed to have crazy ideas because I have a co-founder who can actually code all of it and make it into an existence. So yeah, it was just this idea that, you know, as you know, watching Golden Compass, playing all the video games that I've played, playing all the MMORPGs that we played, I felt that, wow, with NFTs the first time ever, we can actually give people a spirit animal. Like, doesn't everyone want a spirit animal? And how cool can we make that spirit animal using this technology? And how can we use this concept of a spirit animal to bring the best out of ourselves? And it happened to be a thesis that just lends itself so well to blockchain and NFT and kind of where the spirit of the whole community is going. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think our idea was validated in the summer of this year when Axie Infinity blew up, and it proved that play to earn can work in, you know, bringing people from the Philippines and, you know, Southeast Asian and other places together and really make a difference in their lives. So one of the things I like to say and I like to quote is that we can be flexible in our implementation, but we have to be very stubborn in our vision, and that's exactly what we did, which is we want to bring passive income to the masses, and if it's NFT gaming that will make that happen, then we're on this journey.
So how will why make it an NFT, right? Like, because you could enable people to have a pet that, you know, is connected to their health tracker. Like, what about making it an NFT, you know, makes it different?
Yeah, so I personally, I'm a big mobile gamer, and I've spent a lot of money on games myself. And what I realized when I saw NFT gaming was that it finally it basically takes a step back and allow this economy to be reap the benefits of this economy to be reaped by the players themselves rather than the gaming company. And the gaming company just takes a transaction fee. And along with everything, you know, in DeFi and other crypto phenomenons, what we've realized is this really puts customer acquisition and community onto hyperdrive, and it really allows people to, you know, become evangelists of your project while you know, benefiting from it. And we just think it's such a novel and fair way of distributing value, you know, to people who play and the community.
And I think too, it gives a bit of a sense of ownership that you don't get in the same way. I think that's a lot of the phenomenon of entities in general. You know, people can say it's just a JPEG, but behind the JPEG is the principle of, and I think you were just tweeting about this, Justin. Behind the JPEG is the principle of like actual ownership of this digital asset and what that does to the community sentiment and the individuals that are part of that community that feel a little bit more fiscal and social responsibility to the success of the project that they wouldn't necessarily feel in the same way if it was me selling you Diablo items, which those in the industry have seen how that sort of marketplace played out and why potentially we have something different on our hands today because of NFTs.
Yeah. Just to close that point, the traditional way that a non-NFT gaming project would approach this and the monetization of any game is we create items and then we sell them to players, and we create a game narrative where it makes those items desirable. So they'll give us money and then we give them this item. The beauty of NFTs and what it unlocks in terms of mechanics, it unlocks, I would say, two major things. Number one is a shift in the paradigm of the relationship between game producers and players, in one where, as a game producer, our job is to just create a marketplace. Our job is to create a scenario and a narrative that incentivizes players to buy and sell from one another. So then that frees me as the game producer to not be a salesman. Then that allows me to focus all of my energy. It aligns the incentives so beautifully because now I just have to create a really beautiful and compelling world and universe and something that pulls people in to want to transact and interact with this marketplace. And my job is to make this fun and cool rather than trying to sell anything to anyone, because it's the players who will be buying and selling from each other. So that frees the players up to do what they love to do, which is play and interact with all the things in the game, and also be able to earn money because of the NFTs. Without NFTs, there is no play to earn. And then it allows me to focus on building a really fun and cool experience around that.
So how will the economy work, in your guys' game?
Yeah, so most items will be player crafted. So we've designed something called dual earning economy because as early as this summer, we've realized that traditional play to earn, if you can even call it traditional play to earn because it's so new, but the first iteration of play to earn required everybody to be gated by some kind of NFT, meaning in order to participate in the economy, you have to buy something. So for Axie Infinity, you have to buy 3 Axies. And there's a reason for that, because for any play to earn economy to be sustainable, there needs to be a net inflow of cash. So more money coming in to the ecosystem than players cashing it out, whether for profit or just to pay their bills. And this is why most player earn games out there, you'll see that they will require a purchase of some kind of NFTs. So we went back to the drawing board and we said, can we draw from the experiences free to play and create something that allows people to experience the game first, and then opt in to the paid side if they feel like this is a game that they want to play. So this is what we call the dual earning economy, and that's what this chart is. So on the left side, you see that you have the free to play side, and on the right side, you have the pay to play side, which is the pay to earn part of it. So anybody that comes into our ecosystem starts out being a free player, and they can keep playing the game. They can mint baby Genopet for free. They can play the game by grinding, PvP, PvE, and all they'll earn is XP. And we've made it so that XP is not a tradable token on the blockchain. It's mainly a metadata that gets updated. So there's no economic benefit of the XP. But with the XP, you can evolve, customize, upgrade your pet, and eventually there is a path to monetization. If you play a long time and your Genopet becomes super rare or super cool, you can sell it in the marketplace because it is an NFT and it's freely tradable. Now, if this whole grind is too long for you, you can start purchasing NFTs to speed up your gameplay. We've taken that from free-to-play mechanics. So the main gating mechanism that we're using here is what we call the habitat. The habitat is where Genopet lives. Once you purchase a habitat, then you become a paid player, and your habitat enables what we call key token earning. So that's our reward token. So as you play the game via exercise, PvE, or play PvP, your steps earn you both XP and key tokens. And with key tokens, you can start crafting crystals and crafting habitats. And with those crystals, you can upgrade your pet faster. And if you upgrade your habitat, then you can earn more key tokens. So this is the play to earn side. So what we are essentially doing here is tying the economy to daily user activity. So we want more crafting, people buying from each other, more crystals, and most of the marketplace activity will come from that instead of gating the initial buy-in. Ben,
Gotcha.
Did you have anything to? Sorry.
So it's kind of like in a traditional gaming. If you were just a traditional gaming company, you would be the sole source of selling like crystals and habitats and pets. And the way that this changes it is like you are a source of selling those things, but then all of your players who are earning XP and evolving, or like they paid and have a habitat and they're like earning XP and key tokens and buying crystals, and they are also a source of that in the market. So they're like enabled to participate economically in the growth of Genopets as an ecosystem. Is that like a fair summary?
That's also why marketplaces become so important, because long term we won't sell any of the assets directly and they will come purely from the market. we do see that as an opportunity really to create a player-owned economy. And why, again, NFTs and the earn side of this is yeah.
And this is also why we spent so much of our time creating procedural generation systems, because habitats are crafted by players. So they're not predefined images. So we have systems that we're designing that procedurally generate the habitat based on the player inputs. And that makes it more fun. So the player feels like they're actually creating something that's their own.
That's awesome. Part of why when you hatched your Genopet, Justin, we couldn't tell you were going to get a blue one that was a flying type that had these kind of attributes. It was up to how you played the game, how you imbued your personality through the hatching experience that actually generated the Genopet that matched you.
Awesome. Well, it looked, kind of like me, so I'll take it. But tell me, so like, where are you guys at in the release of the game? And how, tell me about the timeline to fully launching it out there.
How we will be releasing is through iterative phases. And our first phase 1A, will be released on January 20th, and we're working around the clock right now to make that happen. And we're very confident that we'll be able to achieve that. We're on a very good pace right now. The key function of the first phase is to create the world's most addicting button. And we have the privilege of working with the community every step of the way and getting their real-time feedback as we open this up piecemeal to parts of our community to get their thumbs up and thumbs down. And proving that we can make walking more fun and just being a little more active, a little more fun is the foundation for all phases subsequent to this. So in phase 1A, we are testing this bank button. And the idea of the bank button is, unlike Fitbit and Strava, which the only way, Fitbit and Strava is kind of geared towards people that already run around a lot. The way that works is if you want to go on Strava, you put your shoes on, you go to the sidewalk, you press the start button, and then you start running. Then you're done 20 minutes later, an hour later, and you press the stop button, and now you can share a picture of a map of where you went and so forth. That's great for people who already have that routine built into their lifestyle. But for people who are trying to walk into that, I wanted to give people carrots from the very beginning and make that as low barrier as possible and give them a huge reward at the end of that. And that's the nature of the bank button. So what the bank button does is it passively tracks your steps as you walk throughout the day. And however, in those steps, once you bank them, they count towards your XP and the growth and evolution of your pet.
Oh, so I got it. So basically, you're walking around, and then you get a reward, right? When you open this app, it's like you get a reward. It shows you the steps that you took that day, and then you get to press the button, and then something happens to your pet.
Very close, almost exactly right. But I like that you're in this with me for sure. So as I'm walking, it's going to passively track my steps, but it's only when I press that button, and depending on how many steps I have passively tracked, I will get a bigger reward moment. So essentially a dopamine button. And however, at the end of the day, if I don't bank these steps, they get wiped. So that would incentivize me to want to come in and make sure that all the steps I'm taking throughout the day are being counted towards my big moment. And this is I'm using a lot of the psychology of what happens when we hit a jackpot. I want players to feel like there's value in every step that they take and make them feel like they've hit jackpot every time they do that. And so based on this mechanic, I can build all other things, and everything in terms of battle, in terms of crafting, in terms of all the in-game applications of what you get out of the steps, which you'll be getting XP, you'll be getting energy points and so forth that you'll be able to then redeem and use in-game. All that's predicated on this foundation. So that is phase 1A, January 20th. Following that, going into 1B, we'll be going into many other features. So here you can see that we've earned some XP and then we've leveled up. So phase 1B will be introducing all the ways that we can enhance this experience of tracking your steps. So we can give you XP boosts for walking around for 20 minutes. We can give you challenges as par for the course. We can have daily, weekly, community challenges, commitment challenges. All of these things are drafted and in the pipeline for what we want to release shortly after this, to really sweeten that experience.
Like, what's the vision after this? So you have this core loop, people are walking, they're growing their pet or upgrading their pet. Then, like, where does this go?
Very good question. I'm glad you asked. So the whole idea here is that, we all grew up playing RPGs, MMORPGs, and the ability to dive into this world and explore and live in this sort of fantasy is really beautiful. And the idea that we have these spirit animals, like what is this world that they come from? What are they about? Why do they exist? What's the story here? And so previously, when I'm talking about with the bank button, that's the short-term incentive. That's how, on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, I'll get enjoyment out of walking around. But then, how do we make that fun in the long term? How do we make it so that what mechanism can I deliver value to a player over time, to make it fun and rewarding to keep doing this day to day? And so, taking a page out of RPGs, why don't I create a world and a quest that people can explore and discover the mysteries of this world? And so then I can convert your real life actions into movement in this game. And so for every step, then I can give players this narrative that every step they take in the real world is converted into a movement that they can make in the game world. So that's where we have this map. And of course, building an RPG on a mobile platform is pretty difficult because we don't have the luxury of a big giant screen where I can show players like a huge immersive world and all that. And so, but making this a mid-core RPG. And the way that we're approaching this is by creating a map with a grid on it. And so you would start somewhere on this grid. And so in order to move from one grid to another, it would cost, for example, let's say 5 energy points. And so in order to earn those energy points, you would need to take steps in the real world. So then let's say, these are numbers that are subject to balancing and player activity, but let's say you walk 1,000 steps and you get 1 energy point. And so every 5,000 steps that you take, you can move somewhere in this world. And you can choose any direction you want to go. It's an open world for you to explore. And within this world, you can only see a certain distance around you, but you can see the other players that are near you. There are zones that you can only go if you use a fire crystal to augment your pet before you start taking damage. And so within this framework, I can create quests and story and side quests and objectives, and also a lot of social play zones that you'll only be able to access if you have your friends with you, zones that you can only unlock if you have, say, 5 people with you, and so forth. I'll pause there real quick if you have any questions.
Awesome. And so it's kind of like this open world RPG that you bring your Genopet through, and that's the idea.
Exactly. And so from here, you can see the locations that you be looking at, and then you can see the other players that are there. You can interact with them as well. And then you're on your way there. And through the process of exploring this world, you can unlock augments and items and accessories that you'll then be able to add to your inventory and then use to customize your Genopet. And that is how you will get the ultimate spirit animal that's specific to you, exploring this world, unlocking all the different augments and applying them to your pet.
Nice. I want some antlers for mine too.
Cool. Sorry if that was wordy. I just wanted to give you guys a lot of content you can cut out.
That's great. That's great. So last question is like, what excites you most about this space and like building in this kind of blockchain gaming space right now?
I think for me, it's the interoperability and composability of NFT games or anything blockchain in general. Like as Ben said, we're creating this whole new world ourselves. But then what I'm really excited about is that our Genopet can become like a symbol of an active lifestyle for people who own one, and they can start bringing that into other experiences. Not only across like Solana, but ultimately across all blockchains and all experiences. and that's the sky's the limit on how that could be, achieved.
It's almost like your emoji that people have on their iPhone, but like one that has a lot more cred behind it, because people know that this avatar could only be created and look this cool because of how much you've invested in taking care of yourself. That I think from the interoperability side of it, but also using Genopets as a vehicle through which, or just like an experience through which anyone suddenly has this opportunity to this motivation to take care of themselves, both mentally and physically, and using that as a driver for creating a way for people around the world to really stay active and become motivated to better take care of themselves, I think is the overall mission, and to enrich your life and find a way to encourage people to enrich their life by taking care of themselves is I think part of the overall vision, mission, goal too, that again NFTs and blockchain gaming have given us this opportunity.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think sorry, Ben, I'll get you can second in 1 second, but let me just say I really love that mission, and that I think these incremental, it seems small, right? Like, oh, is someone really going to walk because they have like this game? But it's like small motivations can really help people establish big habit changes in their lives. And I actually created a habit tracker app based on my own, like I noticed, like if I had a streak, if I track my streaks for like working out, that was that like tiny motivation to do it actually every day. I was trying to work out every day. I was like, I'm just going to open this app, press this button every time I work out, and if I don't do it, I'm going to lose my streak. And that small thing, just like opening an app, pressing the button, like kept me, I've worked out every day for the last almost 3 years now, in some form. And so I totally believe in what you're in your mission, which is like, hey, can we create a game that creates a little bit of impetus, a little bit of momentum for somebody to like change their lifestyle, and that can have a tremendous impact. And so I want to say that I'm super excited about that. And then Albert, to what you said, the interoperability is really what excites me about blockchain games, is like allowing other people to build experiences on top of the experience that you created. Yeah, I could see like something that hooks up your Genopet to your like it makes like an Animoji version of it or something like that for you to and like that people would probably love that experience if they've really invested in it. So to me that's like the thing that's really cool. As a programmer, I'm like excited for what people are going to build that I haven't even thought of yet, on top of gaming NFTs.
Yeah. And Ben, were you gonna say something?
Thanks. I was just something short, which is what's just so cool about blockchain gaming in general is that as a producer, as someone who's creating something, we've all been doing this for a long time, building all kinds of products and whatnot. And it's always about like exchanging value. Like I create something and then like you can come and see if you feel like it's worth it and you pay for it. But like in this case, I really feel like we get to not we're not really taking anything from the player necessarily. We don't even necessarily need the player to give us money. And because of this technology, we're able to just create a way where players can just profit. It's like, I'm just here to create something awesome to give people. And just this crazy amalgamation of technology allows us to do this without having to really worry so deeply about selling things to people.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for joining me. This is great.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
this has been
Thanks
great.
for
Thanks
having
for
us,
having us,
Justin.
Justin. We're super excited for Fractal. We're super excited to see a purpose-built marketplace for games. I think it's something that we've very much been yearning for in the ecosystem. Every time we talk to another marketplace, it's like, these are all the things we'd love to see for gaming. So congratulations to you as well, obviously, for what's about to happen. We're really excited.
Thank you, guys.